Hey folks, this is Soul with your reminders and tips for this coming week in Warcraft. Do hit the like button, subscribe for more WoW coverage, and catch me live on stream for a chat. Let's start off with some nerfs and buffs we can expect to happen this coming week. Blood Death Knights are getting a welcome 10% buff to all their damage. Guardian Druids are getting a slight nerf to their mitigation, with Ursoc's Fury's shield being reduced to 50% of damage that your Thrash or Maul or Raze does, down from 60%. I'm not sure if this makes the Moonbear the ideal build, but hey, I'm using it anyway, so oh well. Hunters are getting some welcome buffs. Marksman Hunters' ricochet damage has been buffed to 65% of regular damage, which is up from 55%. Survival has their rotational abilities buffed by 5 to 10%, and the Best Hunter spec has had their non-pet rotation abilities buffed by 15%, so they can start showing up on the damage charts. Windwalker Monks have had a 10 to 15% buff to their damage abilities, while Brewmasters are getting dragged with nerfs to their AoE. Meanwhile, your favorite shield-wearing tanks are getting even better with a 7 to 8% damage increase to all abilities. The Luminous Barrier talent for priests is getting a significant 30% buff, which is even better while in a party. That's great because Shadow Priests might be switching out of despair. Their AoE and cleave is being nerfed even more, but at least their single target damage is getting a modest increase. It just doesn't make for a great impression for Shadow Priests trying to excel in Mythic Plus pugs. And Shaman are getting a small buff to their overall healing and a big buff to the Ascendance talent, letting their distributed heals cover a 40-yard range up from 20. Evoker are going to probably be on a roller coaster of nerfs and buffs as we slow walk our way to Season 3 of Dragonflight when the balance hopefully kicks in. At the moment, the spec is doing too well in dungeons thanks to the Close as Clutchmate's passive ability. That's being knocked from 40% greater effectiveness when you're just in a party down to 20%. And the Fate's Mirror proc chance is being reduced from 15% down to 20%. The Rallying Cry-like bonus from Aspect's Favorite is also being nerfed from a 16% bonus all the way down to 10. Now this is being counterbalanced with Ebon Might giving a bigger personal buff to the caster, and Eruption damage being buffed by a significant 40%. The buff side of things have nothing to do with group size, so in raids, Evokers are getting a modest buff, and overall this shouldn't cause any rotational change or respecking. The way I see it, the WoW team is trying to slide Evokers a bit away from looking like a support spec that does very little damage to more of a DPS spec that buffs allies. Social media posts have clearly sent the message that the dependence on damage tracking add-ons and a lack of transparency have messed with the perception of augmentation in these first couple of weeks. Of course, it's still a few months until Season 3, so we'll see how augmentation looks down the road. It was recently discovered that you can now buy Scarab Vault keys directly using Dragon Isle supplies, and they come at a really reasonable price. Since the damage stones were nerfed, it's not so great for people looking for a powerful Onyx Amulet, but it's better than nothing, while the healing and utility stones are still as potent as they always have been. Your extra conquest points and flight stones can be put to use. Over in Valdrakken, you can talk to the Conquest vendor to buy account tradable strong boxes. And down in Loam, the vendor that trades for flight stones sells Mythic Plus versions of these strong boxes, although in this case the gear is only adventurer level gear, and so it's not eligible in the Revival Catalyst. Considering the numerous ways one can get gear, these probably could be better. Finally, Paracausal Flakes can be traded across the account at a 1-to-1 ratio. All you need to do is visit She Everbreathes where the other Timebrick vendors are to initiate the trade, and now you can very easily trade flakes around to buy up every appearance. An account level system to manage this would be better, but we're pretty much getting the same thing here, so it's hard to complain. After a rocky start, time rifts have seemed to stabilize just in time for a lot of people to have, well, finished farming everything up already. The dust is still setting on Dragonflight's try at an account level quest. It's just one step towards creating more account level systems, where progress and rewards are shared for the entire account, and it's clearly just one step with a lot to be desired. I'm sure that folks would love the Paracausal Flakes to work like Trader's Tender, and for the cosmetic unlocks to work without, having to go about trading armor and weapon tokens across characters, again, like the trading post. I'm also hearing feedback from a few folks that outside of the bugs, it does feel awkward that the weekly activity is something that you only do once, and that's it. Now stepping back, I sort of get it. I feel like eventually this sort of account level questing will evolve in such a way that, well, maybe the weekly event quest would take multiple clears of an activity to complete, only credit can be shared across the account. Or in other words, we'll start seeing certain quests look more like trading post requirements, like maybe complete 30 world quests or something, but multiple characters can be used to fulfill that objective, and then you get a big rep reward for all your characters. Now, that might work with cosmetics or reputation, but what about gear? What about something like the Great Vault? I'm curious to hear from you folks where the line ought to be drawn, or if there should even be a line. In other stuff this week, the Pet Battle bonus event is happening. It's nothing special for North American realms, but over in Europe, on their reset day, which is this coming Wednesday, it's Super Squirt Day, featuring super fast leveling for those pets that you've been collecting from Time Rifts. South Shore vs Terran Mill is the PvP brawl, and Legion Time Walking is in town. Crush 5 Time Walking dungeons for a chance at normal/heroic level transmog. And over in Mythic Plus World, the affixes are supposed to be fortified, entangling, and bolstering, which should make for another reasonable push week. Entangling can be a problem when being forced to move during a critical moment, and bolstering is bolstering, which influences DPS targeting units, which will influence DPS targeting mobs, and damage output against the group overall is probably going to be a little bit higher, but you're fine, right? It's easy enough to get pretty well armed. I still stand by my strategy of having farm 9s for the easy champion gear, and then 11s for Wormcrest to bring the item level up to 437. And if dungeons aren't your game, your path is through doing the Heroic Dungeon Weekly for champion gear, Raid Finder for tier, and Wormcrests through the Great Vault and crafting epics. Patch 10.17's recent PTR build turned out to be a bit of a tease, with Dream Surges mostly being a no-show. I'm counting on it making a return soon, since we already have a taste of what's to come. What I'm looking out for though is if 10.17 is going to offer something similar to 10.0.7. Will there be a special piece of gear that will give people a lift through Season 3 content? So far there's been no indication that it's going to be a thing, but as we find out, you know that I'll be here to break it all down and then be wrong about most of it later. Hope I was able to help you out a bit today, so if you could, hit the like button, subscribe for more coverage, catch me live, and I'll catch you later. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.
Start in town, get up all the weeklies, then you head down. Check and notice, but there aren't any. Then you do a circle around the aisles, helping dragons for a while. Do a hut, cook soup and some bounties. Queuing for some dungeons, stopping invasions, helping the dragon nations. But in the end, you're just a gamer, you're just trying to get the big reputation. Big reputation. Ooh, you and me were farming big reputations. That's the thing we're really trying to do. I want some transmog too. Done.